All right. We are the Tendys on Pattison. I always want to be fast with taking the mute off when the video ends, the countdown ends. And I was like going to click and it just automatically was unmuted. So that's nice.
Yeah,
getting back into the groove. Yeah, right. It's getting back into the groove. We got opening night tomorrow for the Flyers anyway. NHL regular season started. So the news is Ristolinen is day to day.
Yeah, I think. I mean, they're they're battling some injuries right off the get go. Which one, there's two ways to look at it. One, if there's a time to be battling injuries, that time is now, because hopefully you just get past it. Or it's a sign of things to come, and it's gonna be an all year thing where you're just constantly battling injuries all year long.
Yeah, I think that with last year, it's just the conditioning's got to be a little off. It's tough to have such a weird year and then expect to get back and not deal with some issues. Obviously, the Hayes injury hurts probably the most, but you don't want Ristolainen to be missing games either.
No, it's especially with Hayes being out, you were going to rely a little heavier on your back end and of course your goalies. So it's going to be the utmost importance for Hart to be getting back to where he was 2 years ago. Which I mean, that's in reality, that's the key to the whole season, because no matter what everyone else does, if Hart is not, I'm not saying he has to be quite as good as he was 2 years ago, at least at home. He needs to be way better than he was last year, and if he's not, then it's not going to matter.
It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And that's the expectation, especially with the defense being better, right? Is that he will be playing better. And he looked great in the preseason. I think his confidence looked right. His movement looked right. He wasn't chasing the game. Like, he's a fundies guy, right? Like, that's where his game is built from. And it all looked right.
Yeah, no, and we've said it before. We've talked about it, ad nauseum. Him not being able to practice ruined him last year, because when he had his points of struggle, because if we all remember in the very beginning of the season, that first month, I think it was March, wasn't it? Or was it February? I can't even remember. But they were very good. It was the goaltending that was lifting the team up, and the offense. It was the goaltending offense where the defense was not very good, and that never got fixed. And then the goaltending eventually wilted, so he was never able to work himself out of his struggles, and it just continued to get worse, because you saw a noticeable difference after he took the week off. So it's something that is important, and that's probably why the one nervous spot about the team is Martin Jones as your backup, because there's going to be times where Hart needs time off, and not just one game off. Like, he might need 2 or 3 games in a row off just to, get his frame of mind right, and work on something that he's deficient in, and they, hopefully Jones can, be that backup that they need.
Yeah, I think that, like, we tended to discount too, like, not just being able to work on things, but like being able to feel the puck and track the puck in a way where it's not like a high pressure situation is also important for us guys. Like drills and things, like not always is that just about working on your fundamentals. Some of it is just getting your vision back, and your feel. And it's been many years since I've had the pads on. I don't know how long it's been for you. It's been a long time for me, but like just getting into that, all right, it's not a game and I can feel the puck hit me. And if it gets by me, it's not the end of the world, but I can get my movement back. I can get my lateral movement back, our movements were different back those years ago, but feeling my skates under me, getting that feeling, and you're not, like if you let one past you, it's not might be the game.
It's all repetition, and I've been retired for going on 4 years now. So, but I always know I wouldn't play during the fall because I was coaching, and then when I got back on the ice in the spring, that first month was especially the first one because unlike the pros, us men's leaguers don't get like a week's worth of training camp and practices to get ourselves in shape. We just have to rely on our very round shape to start the game. So it was always getting through that first period without having an absolute heart attack, and then I was okay. And then also remembering that, hey, you probably shouldn't eat a double cheeseburger, 3 hours before you go on the ice, or an entire pizza or something like that. Those are just things that are just popping in my head. Not saying I never necessarily did them, but yeah, like it's just getting that feel for the movements, and building your confidence back up. Because when you're struggling, that's the biggest thing. You actually want to stop some pucks, and you got to start small and then work your way up.
And he's a guy, Paul, like I feel like if one does get past him, it haunts him. One that he thinks he should have had, it haunts him, and it can snowball on a player who rides that. So when you're looking at a guy who's struggling and that, it's very easy for each game to spill into the next when you don't have a practice in between. Like you were a different, like you and I were different in that way. I feel like you didn't ride the emotion quite that way where I did, and yeah, that when you let one past you that you think you should have had, it can get ugly fast,
Yeah, I mean, that is the hardest part for pro athletes in general, but I would say goalies and defensemen, especially those two, because there's so much pressure involved in those two positions that young guys have to learn not to ride the momentum, both positively and negatively. When it's going real good, it's going real good, but when it's going bad, it can't be real bad. Like you have to cut those valleys out. And that's the hardest part, and trying to just be solid. You never want to be worse than solid. You just want to that should be your low point, and then your high point is going 3 weeks with a 950 save percentage.
yeah. So along the lines, right? So it looks like I think Sealers is going to fill in for Risto if he misses. Not exactly your fastest defenseman out there. He had a good preseason. I'm not going to knock him too bad, but not exactly a speedster. But I feel like if that's the case, you realize, like how thin it gets, because you're kind of back to Braun having to play in the second pair, and that's less than optimal. So most NHL teams don't have 7 defensemen deep. They would have to slide a Braun into their top 4, but we just talked all off season how we really don't want to see too much of that.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's if it's small points, if it's very short term, it's not that big of a deal. And I mean, to be honest, like God, knock on wood, but if it was a longer term injury, I think you might see York up here. Like I think you would be better off putting York in the top 4 for 2 weeks and keeping Braun in the bottom 4 just to see, and then you can always adjust in game, or Zamula, who has more pro experience. I mean, granted, it's like a season and a quarter total of pro experience,
a little more size too,
but he's bigger, and a little more adjusted to the pro game. So, but if you're talking 2 or 3 weeks, that might be something that is an option. But who knows? Let's just hope it's day to day. I don't, to be honest, I don't even have the.
It's day to day, right? It's an upper body day to day.
I know. I'm thinking of the schedule. I'm trying to see.
While you're looking, obviously there's been a lot of talk about Frost being assigned to Lehigh.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't know. I'm not that worked up about it. I think the kid missed a lot of time over the last 2 years. I think he went to Lehigh, and obviously it's preseason, but he has racked some points up fast. It sounded like the way Chuck said it, and I don't think Chuck is a dishonest guy, that the coaches were perfectly fine rolling Frost out there, but he felt as though it would be good for Frost to gain some confidence down. Well, I was going to say down there, up there in Lehigh. That's the way he made it sound. So,
And AV made it sound like that too. AV made it clear he was A-okay with Frost up because, and I think the reason for that, and I think one thing people forget is the fact that as a prospect, everyone knows that the offensive abilities are there. It's him being, defensively responsible and being a little more physical. And he, for the most part, he brought that in the preseason, but it was the offense. Yes. Yeah. We have your hockey locks right here.
William
we may
Anthony,
not have a key. We may not have keys, but we have locks.
He goes by the Parlay Prince now, by the way.
Yeah, I think what happened was there was so much focus on him being defensively responsible, especially as a second, actually, to be honest, more as a third line center, because if you're a third line center, like, you can't be a defensive liability. You have to make sure your end is taken care of. If you're a second line center, then that's a little like you have more leeway there because you're not expected. You're needed to score more. So who do the Habs got tonight?
But to your point though, Paul, like you might be able to get away because you might be on a more offensive line while you're looking up the schedule. But also you might be playing against better talent, like depending on how the matchup goes. Teams roll 3 deep of good Buffalo. So yeah, teams roll 3 and 4 deep now.
You say that, and the Sabres
they'll come out and look amazing for 3 games.
Did you see that lineup? It's sorry to cut you off, but our at work, our rep for CCM is he lives in Buffalo. Is a very big
bless him.
Very big Sabres and Bills fan. So he at least has the Bills, but let me bring this up.
Look, he had some superstars, in the 90s there in Buffalo. We tend to forget they didn't win a cup, but they had some really amazing players.
So this is their lineup: Middlestad centering Skinner and Hinostroza, which Tage.
That's their top 3.
That's their top 3. Tage Thompson centering Olofsson. Olofsson's actually not bad. Asplund, who's whoever. Dylan Cousins, who's a prospect with Kajula and Bjork. And then Cody Eakin centering Gergensons and Kyle Poso. And their defense, oh my God. Darlene, Yokiharu, I don't know how Bryson, Miller, Haig, and Pisk. And then you have, oh my God, Anderson and Dustin Tokarski in that. Good Lord. Craig Anderson, Dustin Tokarski.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Darlene, I mean, the poor kid,
I don't pity any of them. He's a freaking millionaire. He's making $6 million.
I'm just so sorry. I guess what I'm saying is like he could very easily end up in the same spot Ristolinen did. Where like he's going to be minus 1,000, and who knows what his future will hold depending on what his confidence ends up looking like. I don't feel bad for him in the game of life. He was born with that level of that ceiling of hockey ability, but
and in Sweden, and there was probably plenty of good-looking blondes over there. So I had said, I was like, I should try out in that. I could be that fat goalie Vladikov from the Amstel commercial.
So yeah, I think that like the with Frost, the narrative on the outside, if you weren't listening to Chuck, was like, oh, it's AV. He doesn't like playing kids. And which I think like Farabee gets a ton of ice time. Like he's not exactly a long in the tooth veteran. Like I think Frost's time will be coming soon. I just think I think it's a wise decision to. We're used to in Philadelphia, either those players get traded or they get rushed too fast.
Yep.
And we can't cut it both ways. Like everybody, I don't want to say everybody, right? Like we just went through something similar but different with Patrick, with missing a year and development and what do we do? And I think a slow approach with Frost is actually wise. Let him play in Lehigh without the microscope, get his confidence going, and get his game right and ready for stiffer competition.
Yeah,
he looked great the other night.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm trying to. Phantom's website sucks. This is their home schedule. I don't want just their home. Oh, here we go. So yeah,
their merch is cool though.
What's that?
Phantoms have cool merch.
It's true. So yeah, I mean he can get 4 games in with the Phantoms and only miss yeah, I mean he could get 4 games in with the Phantoms and only miss 2 Flyers games. It's like, oh, no, I'm wrong.
Yeah. Even if it's 2, even if it's 2 for 2, I think that, like let them get a couple weeks up there. Let's figure it out. I don't think that there's anybody in that bottom. I mean, other than Lawton, maybe in that bottom 3 that you're like, oh, geez, Frost is going to have a real hard time cracking a lineup. I just think that this is not about his talent or his ceiling. It's about playing time.
Yep. And it's funny because your 3C is almost more important than your second line center because you want that matchup advantage, and you're in almost your second line, and it sort of counteracts what I just said earlier. But your second line center also needs to be, if he's a defensive first center, that's okay. If your first 2 lines negate each other, but you have a huge advantage with your third line, that can be the difference in the game. And you've seen it with multiple cup champions. I mean, it's been the difference with Tampa. I mean, their top 6 really help, but
and having great defense and that's best goalie in the league.
Yeah, that helps a lot. But that third line is what really propelled them the last 2 years, and so that's why
I think if you look at the 2019 Flyers team that overperformed, that was the difference, was the third and fourth line being so good.
Yeah. So that's the reason why you have Brassard as your second line center and not Lawton, because Lawton's not a top 6 on a long-term basis. He's not a top 6 forward. He's a 6'7" forward, so he's your third line center. That's going to create matchup issues.
He's right. He's a very nice player, but you really don't want him. Like you want him where he plays, which is bottom 3 or bottom 6.
Yeah.
And
the bubble, the playoff bubble was a prime example of that when they came out in the round robin, when they were trying to determine their seeds, and he was awesome with him, TK and Hayes.
Yes.
Should we be concerned for this season? Yes, you should be concerned for this season. Should we be concerned long term if he's the answer? Depends how bad. But yeah, if he comes out at the last year and he struggles, now like what's struggling? Wins and losses? Like some people are gonna look, well, the Flyers are 0-3 and 2. Yeah, but Hart's,
if he's got a save percentage over 9.2 or better, I wouldn't be worried about losses.
To be honest, in the first month of the season, if he's 9-10 or 9-10 and above, I'm okay with it because it's early in the season. The team's finding themselves, and so is he. He has to build his confidence up. There's only so much practice in preseason can do for you. You have to get it done in hockey games. So he's in the real thing. So he's got to build that up.
I have to be honest with you, Paul. As much as like the team kind of does hinge on the team, look, we're in Philadelphia. We know the team hinges on goaltending, right? Like it's probably why we didn't win a cup during the Lindros years. Like it's probably the sole reason why we didn't. We know how it works, but I'm almost as I don't want to say concerned, but I'm almost as this team hinges on how good Ellis and Provorov are.
Yeah.
Like if that line doesn't mesh to the level that it did, that Provorov meshed with Niskanen, there's trouble there too. Elite defense solves a lot of goaltending problems.
Yeah, they go hand in hand. And Risto's in there too, granted to a lesser extent, because if Ellis and Provorov are just straight killer, then if Risto's not, doesn't rebound and doesn't play as well as everyone hopes, it's not as big of a deal if Ellis and Provorov are kicking ass. So yeah, that's your top D pair, your starting goalie, and really your scoring depth. Those are really the three keys of the season in my eyes, because they can't just have one line scoring. They have to have scoring throughout the lineup, and if they don't, it's going to be it's going to be hard to win.
So on a non-Flyers topic, we've been treated to NHL on TNT. This is this is their first run at this. I don't know about your feelings, but I loved it.
I think they should bring back the Outdoor Life Network, because that was so much better. How you could barely hear the broadcast, and it was fuzzy, and it was on the Outdoor Life Network. No, it was really good. It actually finally had some personality, which was nice, because the NBC was okay, but the last couple of years it got really, really, really stale. And having a goofball like Biz on there, having Wayne on there, and Wayne is just like Chuck and Charles Barkley in terms of, he's not up there, he's not as much of a wise ass as Chuck is, but just the way he tells stories, and damn, I wish I could just go have a beer with him and hear the stories that he can't tell on national TV. Because between him, Messier, Todd, all those guys, the stories that they can't tell publicly have to just be so awesome, because the stories they do tell are really good.
Yeah. And I mean, look, anytime you can have the greatest player, ever to touch a hockey stick on your regular broadcast is a treat for everybody,
Which the only thing that sucks is he's not going to be on it every week.
But it makes it special. It makes it more special when he does come on. I think that with Tocchet and Biz and Anson, they've got a nice crew.
Anson's not bad, and actually, the guy, the host, shit, I can't think of his name. Shit, the guy he came over from NBC.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name, but he was really good. I did not see the the intermissions and everything on Tuesday with ESPN because I had to work. But I'd heard Chelios and is it Chelios and is it Hull? Is it Brett?
And Brett, yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
I mean, it's just a matter of time before they say something that's going to get them fired. But especially, both of them, but especially Chelios, because he doesn't give a shit. Which is why he's going to be good. So I'm anxious to see how that is. Did you listen to Bucci do the Seattle Vegas game?
No, I only caught the Rangers Caps, and that was that we had Jonesy and Kenny Albert. No, not Kenny Albert.
No, it's
it wasn't Panger. Panger had the late game.
Yeah, no, it was the guy that came over from TSN. My brain is saying Gord Miller, but it's not Gord Miller.
Regardless. Yeah.
And Jonesy, you could tell Jonesy sounded more like WIP Jonesy than NBC Jonesy. You could tell that there's a different mood, and
Fun.
Yes, they want to have fun. And the only thing I don't like is the one camera angle that like sort of moves. That's like right above. It's like it's at center ice, and
It's that like almost like a
yeah,
hanging camera.
yeah, and that was giving me. I'm not a big fan of that one. I like
I'm
the
interested.
end one.
Yeah, but I'm glad that they're trying creative things.
Yeah.
I think that they learned a lot. TNT learned a lot by their NBA feed. What they do for inside the NBA and what they do there, and they really tried to build a mirror image for hockey that we just haven't had as hockey consumers. And some of my frustration as a viewer was not just the style, not just the button up for guys that they're bros. Hockey players are bros. For guys that are bros to have to be so buttoned up and so, like unless it's Don Cherry, who's a dinosaur.
That's a bad word. Don't say dinosaur. Someone's gonna tweet about you.
Well, I mean, he just has some really old ideas and beliefs, and he's not afraid to say them. He has not changed with the times. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, he is a dinosaur. Like, yeah, he's stuck in the mud. He needs he just needs to get gone.
And that's more so about his attitude than his age, but we would get the same old tired analytics, the shot count is this to this, and no talk about anything else other than these like kind of worn out ways to measure the game, and not much. It's not like Chuck and Shaq bring in-depth X's and O's, but they bring a feel to the game that you don't understand. Like you just don't get. And I'm really happy with it.
It's like Kruk on the Phillies broadcast. Like,
yeah,
they're one of us. Like they're watching the game. I mean, Kruk's a little different because he's doing the color analysis during the game, but like they're talking like we talk. Like you go to the bar, and that's the whole point of it. We can relate to it. Whereas when guys are just sitting up there, I mean, to be honest with the NBC, the only time I ever watched the intermission stuff is when Bob McKenzie or Drager were on there, like trying to listen to see what if they were going to give up any scoops, any breaking news or anything like that. So like it's so much better, and I think it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. But Bucci was pretty good as far as the play-by-play. He just gets on the plays that are like scoring chances. Like he gets, I think, too excited, and he's a bit choppy. But I can deal with it because he's so enthusiastic about it. Like I just the monotone stuff I just can't take.
Something I was hoping for, and we'll see if we get there, is that if we could get like a coach cam, like something that like you see all 200 feet from like above, even if it's just so like the NFL Network has coach cam. If like you're that into it, I'd love to see the NHL get something that like, look, I'm not saying it's got to be part of the broadcast, but I'd love to have that ability again to get that overview, to see how plays develop, see who's making what decisions. I just think you get so much more knowledge of the game from such a thing, of like how the game flow went. But I'm not, again, even if I don't get my biggest wish, I'm very happy with the direction we're going.
Yeah, no, they're going to be trying some new things, and I'm just anxious for new life, new blood being involved in it. It's good. I'm just happy it's back and it's different.
So to start, heading down to make sure we check our boxes off, the Flyers sign a goon, basically.
McEwen's not your prototypical goon. I mean, he's
a grinder.
He's a grinder that but he's actually not that bad. But yeah,
he's not a dirty player. He's just he's a grinder, journeyman. Who will drop him. And it pushes them basically right up to the cap, like I think within hundreds of dollars. But I think that, like, didn't we learn anything? Cap's not real.
Yeah, no. if you really, really want something, you can go get it. But yeah, he is. I was going to be another Boston guy. It's basically going to be the Philadelphia Boston boys, or the
Mass,
Philly
yeah, the mass.
the Philly Hayes group, or whatever you want to call it.
I
But
mean, but if you look at the players they brought in from Kevin Hayes' past, nobody's killing you salary wise. Like, it's not like you
no,
just went out, like these are all, it's not like Yandel's killing you. Atkinson, you gave up passing from Voracek and defensive liability to shoot first and for someone who will battle. None of these guys are killing you, but go on, the Hayes Hounds.
or no, I can't say that. But yeah, it's like it's all depth stuff. And to be honest, like we've been talking about the last, like they were just so easy to play against last year. And they're not going full Rangers, which, like they loaded up on tough guys so they can compete with Tom Wilson, and then they got fucking humiliated by the Caps last night. Which is just so like, thank God they're tough enough to play the Capitals now because of Tom Wilson. So stupid. And Zibanejad got his big deal. Rangers are going to be in cap hell real quick because they have
probably when this turns around, right? When this season turns around,
yeah,
they're going to be tight, especially like when Lafreniere's contract comes up,
which is next year, I think.
He should be off his ELC next year. Yeah, I think. Yep. I mean, obviously he'd be going for a bridge, but they're Panarin is not a cheap player. Zibanejad now just signed Fox.
Yep, Strome is a UFA. Sammy Blaze an RFA. Kapu Kaku is a RFA. Now Lafreniere has one more year.
Okay,
but let's see up front, Adam.
But
Fox,
like, what did
they have to sign Adam Fox next year?
Yeah, you can't let Fox walk.
No. So going into next year, they have $20 million in cap space, but you have to sign a second goalie, which shouldn't. I mean,
it's not going to kill you, $1 million or $2 million, but
this is not going to be Georgiev. You're probably going to trade him, but Fox is probably going to be. He's going to
8, 9.
He's going to be because now that he's won a Norris, like he's gonna be at least 7.
I would think that past Norris winner, he's going to be more in the 8 range.
Kako's going to be in the 4s. Strome, if they want to bring Strome back, I mean he's making 4.5 now. It's only going to cost more, but he might be someone that they let walk because you can only sign so many guys. And Goudreau making 3.6, like that's a bit much. And Sammy Blais, I mean, like he's an RFA, like you traded for him, like.
And if they're not, well, the point is if they're not good enough this year, they're going to have some trouble 2 years, like next year, starting next year, and then 2 years from now.
Their prime window is this year,
right now,
next year, and even the year after that, because after that, like it's a lot of guys are going to be making a lot of money.
Well, it's going to be tough to keep them around. That's just the way it works. That Fox is going to get a lot. What's Revo costing him?
He is 1.75.
Okay. Yeah, that's, pretty cheap, but nonetheless, you literally just signed him to deal with Wilson because,
which is fine. I mean, like his problem is he's always hurt, which did you see that knee injury that he had in the preseason game against the Devils?
Oh yeah, it was ugly.
I thought he blew his knee out. Like when I saw the Rangers posted some of the Instagram in practice, and I saw him skate by. I'm like, holy shit, he's not like out for the year. Like that's crazy.
It looked.
But yeah, if he stays healthy, he'll at least be a contributing member of the team. He's not just some goon.
No, and at $1 million, you actually like it, or 1.5. You actually like that contract. He's not a bad hockey player. But yeah, I'm with you. And I guess the next part is really we've got opening night tomorrow. We've got, Hayes is going to be out. He was put on LTIR. He's going to be out for a couple weeks now. He's not eligible to be back until like mid-November. Am I correct with that?
Something like that, yeah.
So that just there's no earlier return. That's how the math works. And I'd rather that, because if he were to rush back and then he would be done for the year if he were to re-injure that, right? It's basically a sports hernia that he's battling.
They had to. I believe they went into the same incision point that they did his other core muscle surgery over the summer. That sucks. But like, so they have let's see, in October they have 4, 5, 6. They have 7 games in October. So seven games in 2 weeks. That's
it's not horrible.
It's not horrible. And November is not awful. I mean, so let's say he's back Thanksgiving. He misses 7 in October.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 3, 5, 7, 9. Let's say he misses 13 games. Yeah, they're going 7-0. Yeah.
It's an 82-0 season, right?
I'll bet you $2,000 that they won't go 7-0. Deal?
Deal. No. Yeah, it's the beginning of the season. We're going to see where everything falls. 13-0-0. Happy Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
We'll see how
13. Then there'll be 13, 12, and 2.
The rest of the way. Yeah. We'll be back. We'll finally have some games to discuss. I don't think that there's really any other Flyers related news that we have to hit. It's more or less waiting in anticipation.
Yeah. Yeah. If I had $200,000, I wouldn't be on the show.
Yeah, I just bought a house.
We need to find out when Griff is having his sexy parties at his brand new mansion, and you better put in that train that I sent you guys in it.
To go around the backyard,
go around the whole property, and actually pay to have the tracks put into like the nearest Wawa. So you just take the train to Wawa.
The nearest Wawa is actually like probably 300 steps away.
That's perfect. You don't even need to put that much track in. That's awesome. You just need to have a loop.
Yeah. So we'll be back next week, I guess, to actually have some post-game analysis and maybe to talk. Hopefully we'll know a little bit more about Risto.
And hopefully Chris is on the show.
Well, I mean, the name of the show is Tendys on Pattison. From what I understand, Chris has never played goalie. So,
it's the third wheel.
Yeah, he's just, I mean, I don't know if he's watching, but he's really shit in the bed here.
Unfortunately.
Yep. So,
I'm still waiting on my Tendys t-shirt too.
Yeah, right. I might have something I can put together for us, but we'll be back next week. I know you've got to get on the road momentarily. So you've got to get to practice, right? Or do you have a game tonight?
No Thursday night games. No, practice Thursday.
Also the reddest.
Big game against Penn tomorrow night. Got to have a bounce back effort, and it's always it's been us and Penn, and we've eliminated Penn in the playoffs the last 5 seasons. So,
Are you down at the 23?
What's that?
You down at the class of 23 rink?
No, we're at home. We're there in January, thank God. But no, it's a home game back at the friendly confines of Lawrenceville School, because Cure Insurance Arena has been hell.
I don't know that I've been to Lawrenceville since camp. We used to have camp there every year before the season.
Brand new rink next year. They're building it as we speak. It's going up right next to it. Can't wait.
All right, so I'm going to do as I always do. I'm going to put up the lineup for Philly Sports Alliance. Hopefully, no one's changed their times because the graphic is still the same. As I put that up, I will be. So I want to thank Stephen Rosplock of the Party Snakes. You can find them on Spotify for doing our new intro song. They have a new song called Wear Me Out. Check it out. It's a catchy tune. But on Philly Sports Alliance, today is what, Thursday? So Thursday night, tables, ladders, and chairs. Obviously, a wrestling show that's on at 7:00 tonight. Monday, football smack talk show, 6 p.m. I think that speaks for itself. Monday, 7:30, Diamond Club. I would imagine off season they're probably not broadcasting all that frequently, but I don't know. I could ask Chris and bust his balls about it, but he's not here. So, Chris, I'm just going to assume you guys aren't doing shows. No one's going to tune in because you didn't show up today. Tuesday, the Philly broadcast, 6:30 p.m. That's the Philly 4for4 show. Wednesday, Bald Eagle, 6 p.m. Eagle show, again, speaks for itself, but he also tastes and talks about different beers. Wednesday, Mike Sports, all sports talk. That's on at 8 p.m. That's the Philly Sports Alliance. That is our home. Chris is commenting to blame his wife.
Aren't they turning the Diamond Club into a jewelry podcast?
Yeah, they're going to be down in Jewelers Row. That's where they broadcast from.
Yeah, which after making that comment and you sharing it publicly, Chris is probably gonna have to buy some jewelry.
I mean, I would have to. So yeah, that's the lineup on Philly Sports Alliance. In addition, I think that CEV Sports has a bunch of other shows on their network, but again, I don't have a graphic overlay, Chris. So if at any point you want to put that together, I can talk about the shows that you guys put out. And otherwise, we'll be back next Thursday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, guys.